Good morning. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and recap my entire Airbnb experience. Today we move into the new apartment. Super excited. When I say we, I mean myself and Barnabas. And also, I am going to protect your sanity with your potential expectations or maybe definitive expectations. The analogy is my experience or someone else's experience that you watch on YouTube, and then your own experience is not a way to make plans for yourself. So by the end of this video, you're going to have actions, and the action I'm going to encourage you to take, which is to take 3 months in a non-EU country before you move to your new country. And while you're in the non-EU country for 3 months, getting to know that part of the world, then I encourage you to visit your dream EU country if that's the thing that you really want to do. I've been hearing this over and over, that so many Americans, want to live the European lifestyle and they want to move to a European country, and 9 times out of 10, it is an EU country. So the call to action at the end, I will wrap back around. So let's get started. Okay, got my coffee, and you like my little princess cup? They must have known I was coming. Look how cute this is. I'm such a tourist, a living tourist. I love Albania. So cute, right? So these are separate. I got this because I got a new apartment, so I wanted to get a new keychain. And then I got this just to, carry small stuff, because this is a cash-heavy country, of course, still, which is, I think, awesome. You end up having a lot of coins, like we did back in the 90s in America. Okay, let me recap my experience and why I encourage you to book with Airbnbs versus hotels. First and foremost, I've been booking with Airbnb since 2014, I think. I have quite a profile on Airbnb. It's quite lengthy. And the reason I encourage this is because your Airbnb host basically is your first contact in the country, and potentially that person can even become just someone who you can contact periodically to ask things after you've moved out of your Airbnb. Or maybe even your friend. I've actually become friends with some of my former Airbnb hosts, and this is no exception. They have been wonderful. I have met them in person, and they're so fast to, answer any questions that I have, or like today I asked if I could just have a slightly later checkout just because it's my last morning, and they were like, yeah, no problem. And obviously I checked their booking, so that was another thing. It's not like they had a hard turnaround. Now in the summer, that's probably not a good idea when things are so busy for the hosts. I wouldn't ask for unless you look at the calendar and you see that they don't have anybody checking in that day. Okay, so that is why I encourage you to book with Airbnb over a hotel, because when you're in a hotel, nothing wrong with hotels, I love hotels, there's nobody that's your contact. You just have, a rotating staff, and you have a location, and you're not actually forming any kind of relationship with anybody. I mean, you have the off chance maybe you meet somebody and you have that contact. Okay, that's possible. But in general, it's very transactional in a hotel. Now, if you use Airbnb as your base, and then you want to go check out a hotel, that's different. But I'm saying when you're checking out the country, or you're trying to come into the new country where you're starting to look for your apartment or where you're going to live, this situation that I've done, that's why I always encourage Airbnb. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those below, but I have a huge list of wonderful former hosts who have either become literally actual friends outside of the platform, or just have been my incredible base contacts in the country, in multiple countries. Like I said, this is no exception, and I know I can message them in the future and get their WhatsApp and just have that contact. So that's huge. Okay, moving on. today I basically moved everything in the taxi yesterday. The only thing I have is Barnabas's like stroller and a few like, my sleeping clothes, some of my like morning stuff, coffee. I've pretty much, exhausted all of our groceries. There's a few things we're taking with us. So I'm just gonna have a couple little teeny small bags that I can actually put in his stroller. And that was the plan all along, is to use the stroller to take the last like load to the new apartment. Now remember, my Airbnb and my new apartment, it's about a 20-minute walk. So it's not bad at all. And this is what I wanted. I wanted to be outside the main center, city center. Now I will say this Airbnb is right in city center. I mean, the water is literally right there. And when I walk out, I'm right onto the boardwalk. This has been a blessing because this is exactly where I wanted to be as I'm kind of checking everything out, because I want to be this localized initially, but this is not where I'd want to live at all. It is a blessing to live here, like if you're a local, but as someone who's coming in, I want to, get to know the area. I want to get to know, different like little areas or neighborhoods. Hey bud, Barnabas. And this is just, it's going to become so touristy, and that's just not what I want for like my dailiness of walking out into the touristy area. So that's why I'm really thankful. The apartment I found, I'm not going to edit I never edit, is a little bit further out, so that's perfect. So I can always walk into town very easily. Okay, moving on to the big topic of this particular video is, Barnabas, stop it, he's just chewing, is I want to protect your sanity from your expectations. I watched a video last night of this darling couple. I think I've seen maybe one of their other videos, but I didn't realize they had like such a like full like channel with so many videos. And I was like, I wanted to go back to see their initial video, and I think they've been recording for like at least a year. And they were talking about their plan to move abroad, and I'm not going to disclose the name, but it was really sweet. And the thing that I was trying not to jump ahead with was, have they ever been outside of America? Because if I just, again, without like judging or putting somebody into a category, just the one video alone, it gave me the impression that they've never been outside of America, and that they have this idea about Europe or moving to Europe. And it's so filled with expectations. And I just like, I wanted to leave a comment and be like, oh man, I want to protect your sanity, because and again, I don't know that they've not, I don't know them. That was just the impression I got from this one particular video. And they also were talking about Europe, and talking about, this, how charming it looks and how pretty, and the cobblestone streets. And yes, and those are all the realities, right? But this is the core of this video, already 8 minutes in. There is a term that's old world charm. Emphasis on the old, okay? If you get nothing out of this video, please be at this. Old world charm means things are old. They don't look nice or pristine or, clean necessarily. Doesn't mean they're dirty, it just means they're rugged. Emphasis on the old. When you have European towns and cities that are old, they do build new things, but they build those new things around the old things. And so what you're left with is this brand new looking modern, apartment or house, or even within, if it doesn't look super new on the outside, maybe it's been renovated on the inside, but it's right next to or within old. And it's not like they go and make the old look pristine. This is critical for your sanity, and I'm going to explain why this is different in America. In Europe, you have ancient civilizations, right? You have ancient towns and villages, and then you have conquests of people, of tribes, of empires. And then you also have earthquakes. And so you have a reshifting of earth, land, things have been destroyed or burned, ruined. And then they just rebuild over that. And then you rebuild and you rebuild. Like Turkey's a great example of this, where you have, literally you can see the different layers of different periods where you have different things that have been built, and you can see the old and then the new, and then the old and new. So you can't extract the charming European cobblestone streets from the dilapidated, crusty, funky, old, dirty looking parts as well. You get both. So, and why this is different in America. America doesn't have the ancientness. We don't have the ancient world. So when we have old parts of a city or a town, it just looks like junk, and we don't rebuild over it. We just move. There's so much land. We just move to a different area and build a new neighborhood or strip mall or highway. So in America, when you see something that looks old and dilapidated, you think, ooh, it's like dirty, it's dangerous. It's not a place you'd want to go. And nobody thinks, oh, that's a great place to start building over, necessarily. In America, you have things that just are completely brand new and built. Hey, bud. And completely brand new and built, and they look pristine, right? But there's no old world charm because we don't have an ancient land. We're working on, hundreds of years as far as America, obviously Native Americans and other natives, but we don't have necessarily structures that were built and kept. So this is what I really want you to get from this video. When you come to Europe, when you come to Western Europe, which is a lot of the EU countries, people have this dream to go to these countries that are, for the most part, in the EU. Okay, that's cool. It's always more of an uphill battle when you go to an EU country to live. To visit, here's the thing, if you have a dream to go to France or whatever, then do that. Go as a tourist. You can stay as an American, you can stay up to 90 days. You can have a lovely time. But the reality of living in places and visiting, or what you just think, your idea, you're kind of romanticizing about what you think it's going to be like living there, the dailiness. Those are two obviously different things, and I can't emphasize them enough. So here's what I want to encourage you to do. I want to encourage you to go to a non-EU country if you're planning to move abroad, okay? I want to encourage you to go to a non-EU country for 3 months, okay? Get an Airbnb, stay during the tourist season, non-tourist season, whatever, or half and half. But you're going to be in even less procured areas because of the old world charm. Right now, where I am, if I pan the camera, you're gonna see old and new, old and new, old and new. The home I'm staying in, fully renovated, beautiful. The back garden, gorgeous. But it's got those unique characteristics that make it charming, which is it's imperfect. It's all imperfect in the back area in the garden. And for me, it's so delightful. This is what I love. I love the old world charm. Emphasis on the old, okay? And I don't particularly enjoy overly procured modern things. I'm not saying I don't enjoy some modern things, but this is what I'm drawn to in particular is in Europe, or I've been living in Turkey for 6 years. I love ancient Anatolia. I first fell in love with ancient Anatolia when I moved to Istanbul. And again, if you've ever been to Istanbul, you're going to see old and new, old and new, old and new. And if you travel across modern day Turkey, ancient Anatolia, modern day Turkey. I refer to it as, it's been Anatolia for thousands of years. It's only been called Turkey for 100 years. And then they've done some rebranding recently with the pronunciation and spelling. It is so old world, and I love it. I love the imperfectness of Anatolia. I love it's raw. You're out there like washing your clothes and then hanging them on a line. No dryer. Can you handle that? Can you handle that? Now there's logic to it. There's logic. Why would you hang things out to get fresh sunshine and fresh air, right? There's a hygienic component to it. It's charming to look at maybe on like, Instagram or Substack, but there's also a lot of logic to it. And in the wintertime, on a sunny day, if you can get a sunny day in the winter, you're still gonna hang your things out on the line. So there's charm to that, but there's also practicality. So the practicality of an old world city is when they take the old and then they build the new, and then the old and new. And this is what I'm trying to drive home, is that it's going to look imperfect. That's part of old world charm. And the other thing I want to say about expectations and like saving your sanity is, if you've never left America and you have this plan to move abroad, I really encourage you to, like I said, try to live for 3 months in a non-EU country, because you don't have to deal with visas. That's the whole point. On this channel, I really only talk about soft life countries, which are, you don't have to deal with visas. For the most part, I only focus on countries where that's not even like something you have to deal with. You can live longer term. I understand a lot of Americans have this idea of what they think being abroad is. That's great. Sometimes the reality is just vastly different. So if you can assimilate, if you can adapt, if you can shed all of those expectations you have of life in America and start with a clean slate and start in a non-EU country, I promise you, if you do move to an EU country, you're going to enjoy your life so much more, because Eastern Europe, for the most part, non-EU countries, not all, obviously, is even more rugged than Western Europe in parts. And again, there's an ease to living here. And yes, there's an adaptability with, people are talking about like the rubbish being picked up, the trash and this kind of thing. Remember, there are definitely city services, but when you look at a picture of, let's say, Mykonos, or, just like this charming street somewhere in Europe, in Western Europe, who's cleaning that? Who's cleaning that? It's the people who own the property. Either it's their home, outside their home, or it's outside their shop, and the people are cleaning it. So that means you would be participating in this. If you have a place, you're going to clean it. Have you thought about that? That's why it looks so beautiful, but also charming when you see these cute, crookedy little cobblestone streets and shops, and it's all idyllic. There's a pride to keeping it clean, and that means the people are doing that. They're not waiting around for the city, water or cleaning or trash or whatever. So if you see areas that aren't as clean, it just means like either someone doesn't necessarily live right there. Like I've seen trash bins here in Albania that are full and they're just waiting to be picked up, but they're not necessarily like in front of somebody's store or home. Like they're kind of in between on the road, next to the sidewalk. So it doesn't mean it's bad or dirty or unkept or uncouth. It just means that, yeah, there's the system, they don't have as many, like, abandon all the expectations you have in America of what you think it should be, trash pickup or cleanliness or whatnot. It is old world charm, and you're gonna get the old, emphasis on the old, okay? Reset, abandon all your expectations, seriously, to save your sanity. All right, I'm gonna tie this up in a bow because it's 19 minutes. If you have questions, I do offer a 90-minute call. What you get on this call, you get the recording, but here's the thing. I prep you before the call with a bunch of questions that you have to go through yourself. Like, I email you these questions so that when we hop on the call, it's not just you're asking me some random questions and I'm giving you some answers, and then you're feeling like, okay, I spent 90 minutes and I got some answers, some questions answered. There's actually a whole activity that you have to do before the call to really prep, and so that we utilize that time very wisely. You also get email support after that. So the call is $250. You can see the link on my channel. But it's basically helping to pre-prepare you for the call with a bunch of questions and logistics. The call, then we get even deeper, and then you have the recording, and then you also have follow-up. Remember, I moved from America in 2015. I've lived in multiple countries and acquired different visa residences, and I'm also working on my second citizenship. So Albania is just, I wanted to show you on this channel my real-time move. Did I use an agency? No. Did I use a consulting agency? No. Because I personally don't need to. I've done this a bunch of times. Like, this is not my first rodeo. So I want to encourage you to understand that you too can do a lot of these things on your own. Now, there are some legal things that, of course, you're going to need some kind of legal support, and that I would fully encourage you to not skip that. There are certain things that I've done in Turkey. For example, I've lived there 6 years, that I've gone ahead and hired an attorney or a service to help me with, just to make it smoother and for me not to have a headache. So this isn't about like completely not using a service, but it's recognizing like there's some things you don't need a service for. You genuinely do not. And you actually also need to have boots on the ground to then move forward with other steps. The idea that you're going to sit in America and get everything all like organized and ready and you're perfect, and then you're going to land, and then someone's going to greet you, and then no, like you're setting yourself up for disappointment with expectations. Like, there are some things, yes, you want to have booked in advance, so when you land, but there's so much about this that you need to have boots on the ground. And that's why I encourage you to land and stay in a non-EU country. You don't have to deal with any visas. Get an Airbnb to start, and then you can start that navigation. And then you can go visit the EU countries. So you have like a little taste of what kind of space do you want to be in. So book a call with me. I can help you at least get some of these questions kind of tidied up, especially before you start to spend thousands of dollars on some of these agencies. And look, I'm not knocking somebody having a business and making themselves into some kind of consulting agency, because they have their experience and they're sharing their experience, or they have boots on the ground as well. Like, they have contacts, attorneys, different places that then they can, like a database that then you can use their contacts. I too, that's exactly what I'm sharing. Like, I'm sharing my Airbnb host. I'm sharing my driver that I took from Turkey to Albania. I'm going to share my driver that just helped move from my Airbnb to my new apartment. I'm going to share my real estate agent. But that's not like I don't have a consulting agency. I don't need to put all that together. I'm just willing to have a call with you and help you kind of navigate some things. But when it goes to applying for your residency, for example, I would really encourage you to go to an attorney and go through those proper steps. It's the same thing I'm doing as well. So I hope this has been helpful. Go ahead and book a call, and I will see you in the next one. And please, please, please save your sanity. Get rid of all these expectations. Do not set yourself up for such disappointment. Just like, come here. It doesn't take you 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. I mean, one of the things I heard was somebody having a plan to move to Europe. It's 2026 in like 4 years. 4 years. Do you know how many rules and regulations and things could be different in 4 years? So if you want to move in the next 6 months or 12 months max, because whatever the law and legalities are right now, they could be totally different if you have this idea so far out. That is the nature of going to other countries. That's also the nature of dealing with countries that have all sorts of visa regulations. That is why I encourage you to go to non-EU countries, at least to get your feet wet. See you in the next one. Bye.